Welcome to Inclusion Culture, where possibilities are multiplied. I'm your facilitator, Todd Kane, and today we're talking about microaggression. You know, if you've experienced microaggressions, you know there's nothing micro about their irritating, harmful, compounding effects. Microaggressions are frequent, brief, verbal, behavioral, or environmental indignities that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative attitudes towards stigmatized or culturally marginalized groups. Wow, that seems like a big definition for such a small thing. But that's just it. Microaggressions are not small things. Some who've experienced them have described them as paper cuts, seemingly shallow cuts that are extremely painful and irritating. Imagine getting even one of them every hour of your school or work day from the same person, a poster, a news feed running on the television, or a hat. Micro is not used because of their impact, but because the microaggressor's intent is to be brief, slight, and unnoticeable. Excusable even. They are often masked with reason, partial truths, humor, sarcasm, and other confusing and negatively charged actions that make it really hard for those on the receiving end to make sense of it. Was it deliberate or intentional? Is this person conscious of their actions or unaware? And finally, how am I supposed to respond to this? More often than not, it comes down to the choice of being offended or calling out the offender. Let's take 3 to 5 minutes and list some microaggressions. They can be experienced in 3 ways: expressed, received, or witnessed. You choose what you'd like to focus on. If working individually, journal it. If in a group, discuss. And I'll meet you right back here when you're done. welcome back. I trust you found that enlightening. Let's examine a few more microaggressions that, in the context of racist assumptions and stereotypes, can be quite damaging. Before we do so, let's keep in mind these characteristics that we mentioned earlier: brief, slight, unnoticeable, excusable, reasonable, partial truths, humor, sarcasm, confusing, negatively charged, hard to determine, conscious, subconscious, deliberate, unintentional, offended, not offended. That's a lot. But this is no small subject. Okay, here we go. You may recognize some of these. I was raised to be colorblind. Now, this signals to a person that the person who says it doesn't acknowledge your blackness or color of your skin, or any experience that's unique to your personal experience. Here's another one. You're so articulate, signaling that this black person is not usually capable of competent intellectual conversation, let alone articulating thoughts and ideas with such enunciation. Condescending, huh? How about this one? I see your hair is big today. Are you planning to wear it like that to the client meeting? That signals that the natural black hairstyle is not professional. You're gay. I would have never guessed. You're like a real dude. Signaling that homosexual men must surrender their masculinity to love another man. How about this one? I love my country, and I'm tired of people criticizing it. If they don't like it, they can just go back to where they came from. Ridiculous. And only Native Americans are from here. But implying that people with grievances don't appreciate the opportunity of being here or can't make it here, and that's why they are complaining. All right, a couple more. All lives matter, and blue lives matter, signaling that you do not acknowledge the disproportionate abuse, violence, and death of black men and women at the hands of police officers. In essence, minimizing and belittling the movement, as well as hijacking the energy of the movement with true but strategically used phrases to invalidate the argument of disproportionate violence and divert attention, support, and resources away from the movement. Whew. The All Lives Matter statement deserves a little more explanation because it's an example of invalidation. Most microaggressions are insults that may be easier to navigate, but an invalidation is uniquely damaging in that it invalidates subtly, excluding, negating, and nullifying the thoughts, feelings, or experiential reality of the person of color. All right, now that we've learned more about microaggressions, let's take 3 to 5 minutes to discuss this scenario. A white person asks a young Asian person, "Where were you born?" If you're working individually, journal your thoughts. If you're in a group, discuss. I'll meet you back here when you're done. Welcome back. There are as many responses to that question as there are people in this world. One signaling effect would invalidate their citizenship and perpetuate the idea that as an Asian, they are a foreigner and not of this land. Now, if you're thinking, oh, come on, people, you need to quit being so sensitive and so PC about things, you just committed an invalidating microaggression. Signaling that your target is unreasonable, too sensitive, and clearly mistaken about the meaning of the statement. Depending on your tone, body language, and facial expression, you could also signal that you're offended by the challenge to your integrity and deserve an apology. If that bold tactic was still met with resistance, you can always just fall back on humor and sarcasm. Lighten up, geez, I was just kidding. Followed by a half-hearted apology, an awkward look and gesture to a witness in hopes of finding a sympathizer to help you escape responsibility for the offense. I know, right? That's an awful lot of responsibility for those on the receiving end of a microaggression to deal with. Add multiple sources of television, social media, billboards, graffiti, clothing like hats and t-shirts. Let them target your age and your sex, your physical appearance, your political party, religion, and even your identity. That's potentially a lot of paper cuts in one day. Imagine for a minute, just a minute, how a regular dose of these psychological sticks and stones may erode a person's mental health, job performance, social experience, and quality of life. Listen, words matter. Choose them wisely. Until next time, this has been Microaggression on Inclusion Culture.